Welcome into the Friday, June 30, 2023. This is Market Plus. I'm Paul Yeager. That's Jeff French. Glad to have you back, Jeff.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, little secret. I talk to the analysts each week, and almost all of them always say, I'm so excited, there's a lot to talk about this week. Jeff French was no exception. You said there's a lot to talk about this week, and that was before Friday. Have you ever seen a week like this? Such a dramatic swing for different reasons.
You know, I've been doing it since 2007. I mean, we've had big moves while I've been in the business. They just happen quicker now with the computer trading. The week before this week, corn rallied 85 cents in 3 sessions. So it went straight up. Unfortunately, this week it did the exact opposite. So it's, June into July in the row crops world is always typically exciting, unless you're just getting downpours. This is historical. I mean, it's some very violent price movements that we've seen.
Well, Tim in Minnesota was late to the field, then it was dry. I think he maybe finally got some rain, but he's been looking at some crops and wants to know, crop prices are falling faster than their yields. What does a farmer do that's looking at below average crops? Because there's people who have not picked up the reins.
Well, I would tell them, I mean, if you're coming on to be a client of mine today, right now we don't sell into down markets. So on the corn, instead of selling cash corn, we're going to go out and buy some September short-dated 480 corn puts for 20 cents a bushel. That way you lock in your floor. Obviously, you never want to buy puts after a $1.30, $1.40 sell-off. We would have had those done earlier before this. On the beans, we're going to let this thing play out. I mean, I want to get into August, see what the weather is. But for all the clients that have unpriced beans still out there growing the field, which is 95% of the farmers, we're buying the September short-dated $13 bean put for 40 cents a bushel. That way you lock in your floor for the next 2 months at $13. If beans go to 17, you're still selling $17 beans. But if we have a setback down to 12, that put, instead of being worth 40 cents, is worth $1.
And it's possible, given, like you were just talking about, these dramatic moves that have happened. I mean, I think at one time I looked, it was up 90 today.
Yeah, I mean, I saw 85, but I was very busy. It was, it's a friendly number. I mean, personally, I would have liked to see it take out the highs from May, 1378. But again, very good action. There's going to be limited selling, and this is from the investment side, unless demand really just starts to fall out of bed. We need a record national bean yield number just to have pipeline supplies. So we got some things to work out here in the bean market.
Well, we have crop insurance, and that's what some people have actually been leaning back on for some of their decisions. Derek in Iowa wants to know, despite the drought, what percentage of your crop insurance guarantee bushels should you have priced?
So on the rally, I mean, we preach, I mean, when the world and end users are scurrying around and they want your product, they want your corn, they want your beans, that is exactly when you want to be selling. Even if it's uncomfortable, we're not going to sell 100% of your guarantee, but we got up to 40% sold on the rally. The other 60% of expected bushels, we got them locked into the downside on the corn, anywhere from 590 down to 570, even 560 puts. And, look at the close here in these corn now down at 494 here. So 14-month low. I mean, you got to have a plan because it happens so quick. We only spent about 48 hours, 56, about 2.5 days above $6 corn in December. So it can change quickly, and you got to have a plan, and you got to be able to execute it.
That's looking ahead. Let's look back. Mitch in Iowa with a question. Please don't use any specific names here because there's many of you out there. For those still holding old crop corn, what is the exit strategy from here? And they're out there.
Oh, yeah, I know they are. It's a head scratcher for sure, sitting here. Exit strategy, I mean, you've held it on this long, depending on if you need the storage this fall let's see what happens. I mean, right now the forecast is showing rain. That's why it's all bared up. But if these rains don't fall, we're probably not going to be moving lower here in this corn market. So I'd wait here a little bit. But boy, that's a hard question to answer there.
So you had an opportunity, but let's just look in recent history. 2022, 21, 20. People that held on to old crop were rewarded in July and August.
Yep.
Is it possible that we could get there and they're going to look like the smart ones?
It doesn't feel like it right now. If the rains completely shut off here for the next 60 days, anything's possible. But right now it feels like things are shifting, potentially a little wetter, maybe a little cooler. But again, the rains have to be verified. They have to fall. But, you can go out there and buy some cheap puts on the old crop. But, boy, I mean, it doesn't look good here on a Friday.
Let's go to Phil in Ontario via Twitter. He always has a question for us, and Phil wants to know, the grain narrative is up, then it's down. Where are we at now with consideration of declining crop ratings with yields? Is 185 or 181.5 bushels to the acre on corn and 52 bushels per acre soybeans long in the rearview mirror?
I don't know if it's long, but it's definitely in the rearview mirror. I mean, 181, you got to remember, that was 4.5, 5 bushels higher than the best that we've ever done ever. So that was a little bit of a reach. And you got to have rain. I mean, there are a lot of dry places out there. Now, that can change too, but we have definitely started out on the drier side. So, I can tell you that, the private guys that I follow, I mean, they're in that 175 to 177 camp right now. So they're coming down, and they're down to that 50.5 on the beans. Again, that's a moving target, but in the next 60 days, we're going to have a much clearer picture on that. But yeah, it doesn't feel like we're going to have record yields right now.
Okay, we're sitting on the last day of June when we tape this. It has been dry on the 4th of July before, and we either go up or we go down. Getting some rain the last week of June does not ensure that a crop is there.
No.
So how do you protect that notion? Any different than what you've talked about already?
No, I mean, we're sitting pretty good. I mean, we sold some higher prices, especially in the corn here the last 10 days, 2 weeks. We're going to let this thing play out. The bean market, we're going to see. I anticipate if we do miss the rains here next week, the beans are going to probably be testing $14 in November pretty quick. But again, it's going to be that tug of war that I'm watching with corn and beans. Historically, they don't travel in opposite directions too long very often.
Does anything get them back together for this year?
Well, I mean, again, I think if the rains come, I think you'll see the beans soften up. But again, if it turns hot and dry here for the next 60 days, these beans take off, they're going to pull corn right up with them.
Okay. Well, there's always the thought of this. Bradley in Nebraska wants to know via Twitter, was this week's sell-off in corn, beans, and wheat overdone?
Yeah, I mean, it's from a chart standpoint, from a near term, it's way overdone. I mean, that is a big move. I mean, you're talking 5 trading sessions down to $1.40, $1.35 in the corn. Yeah, they overdid it. But the thing with markets, they can become more overdone. Again, though, last Friday of the month, last Friday of the quarter, it felt like the funds were really piling on. So we'll see the first couple of days of July, see how the prices react. But again, if the beans stay up here, how cheap is the corn going to get to the beans?
We're not a long weekend because we will trade Monday. We won't have Monday night's trade session. We're off Tuesday, back Wednesday. Maybe that's why some longs piled in there at the end?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and you got to think, so we're going to open Sunday night at 7, trade until Monday at 1:15. We're closed until Tuesday, and then Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. we have a hard open. So you could see some of the traders actually take Monday off, have a 4-day weekend, and then come back ready to go on Wednesday.
Okay. Couple questions left. Let's get into the weather of Thursday. Supply in Illinois wants to know, and he posted a couple good pictures here. Do you think wind damage from Thursday's derecho will knock down yields like the one from August of 2020?
It has the potential, no question. But I think Illinois is sitting better because of the time of year that it happened. It happened on June 29th, not on August 10th. You know, that year is much smaller right now compared to here in the next 6 weeks. So I think that's going to help. The trade will look at wind damage minimal as of right now. They'll look at the rain that came with it as more beneficial, and that's certainly what they did.
Then we have the cotton market. It is one that has danced sideways for a long, long time, but it's starting to break out of a range, right?
Well, it's 77.5 up to 85 cents. 85 cents has just been a glass ceiling for the last 4 months. And everybody wants to talk about supply, acres, but cotton market right now is all about demand. Right now, China has about 200,000 bales of cotton bought from the U.S. This time last year, they had 2 million bales booked. So China has gone someplace else. Brazil, Australia, their crop is much better in the cotton, but it's all about demand, very low demand in the cotton right now.
I had the sense the last couple of Fridays, the people sitting in that chair maybe were exhibiting some signs of they weren't going to sleep too well on this Friday night. You going to sleep all right compared to the previous couple of Fridays, knowing what's ahead?
I'm going to sleep well tonight. I'll sleep a lot better tonight than I did last night, that's for sure.
Yeah, all right. Well, get to it. You're done. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you very much, Paul.
All right, Jeff French. Appreciate your time. Next week, we're going to check the holiday crop progress, and we'll have commodity market analysis with Christy Van On Cheeseth. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great week.